the production possibilities curve is one of our major graphs. It is the indication of where the economy can be at its maximum theoretical best. It is a combination of what the economy can do. Now, when we talk about government, it's usually framed as a guns or butter argument. That is, the federal government could 100% blow up the military budget and make all kinds of military stuff, or it can drop it completely on the other end of the spectrum and do all kinds of social programs, education, healthcare, those kind of things. Now, the economy, as a macroeconomy, is broken into two categories. First is consumer goods. Consumer goods are what you and I purchase. It's whether or not it's this pencil, or it is, you know, a phone, or shampoo, ground beef. It's services that we use, whether it's personal training or chiropractic. But then the other side of it is capital goods. Capital goods are the large pieces of technology that businesses use to do their business. So it could be a computer mainframe system. It could be a piece of technology that manufactures car parts. It could be the pizza oven for the pizza shop owner. It is something that is large, and that it doesn't get used up when it's first used. Like a bottle of shampoo is done, it's done. You have to go buy more. But it's something big. It's an airplane to an airline, and that good, when it's finally produced, is benefiting business and making them more efficient. So somewhere along the line, depending on all the resources, not just the resources of physical resources, raw materials, we're talking about human resources as well as capital resources, meaning technology, but also the money and financing that goes behind these big these big capital pieces. That's how you shake it up, and that's how you can see it. Now I'm going to share screen here. Go to my graph. Okay, so all right, so now this is the graph. The graph here. Capital goods I'll usually put on the Y. It doesn't have to be on the Y-axis, but it is here. So capital goods on Y, consumer goods on the X-axis. The arc represents a country that is working 100% capacity to do what it needs to do. Okay, this is 100% efficiency. So points A and C would be that mixture. Point B, though, is a country that is not operating at 100% efficiency. Now, that could be the maximum that that country can do. That's great for that country to be where that is at point B. That's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's exciting. It's, you know, and yes, you want to move toward the curve, but maybe that's it. Maybe they don't have the tools, the talent, the raw material resources to do it. Just the way it is. Now, again, it's the goal of the country to try to push toward the arc, but you have to realize your limits. All right, so let's talk about the arc, and let's talk about movement along the arc from, let's say, point A to point C. In this case, the economy, if it moves from A to C, decided to shift resources into the production of capital goods that would have been used to produce consumer goods. So if this is, you know, this could be a mild version of what Stalin did in the Soviet Union. Not as much of an emphasis on things for you and me, but big things like tractors and locomotives and power generating equipment. So you can move along the curve that way. Now, the production possibility curve also brings up a point here about trade-offs and opportunity costs. Every decision that we make has a cost, an opportunity cost. If you're watching this video, you're not playing video games. If you are playing video games, you're not watching this video. So, you know, your grade suffers because you're playing video games. Well, that's a trade-off. You decided to play video games instead of watching my videos. This is what the country does. It makes those kind of choices, and it decides, and this you know, again, ties into this idea of normative economics, which is part of another discussion on another video. But it's the should factor. We should do more capital goods. You know, Stalin's 5-year plans were an extreme example of the government deliberately shifting that curve toward capital goods. Now, some countries are good at that. Germany, for example, is the world's second largest exporting country in terms of the value of the stuff they export. Yet Germany's population is less than less than 25% of the United States. Okay, they do big ticket stuff. They do big technology pieces, ships, power generating equipment, cars, China, on the other hand, the #1 exporting country in the world, makes a lot of cheap toys and textiles and stuff and a lot of crap that they send us because it's cheap. So they do it by volume. So a movement along the curve would be to divert resources that way. Now, it's not a bad thing to move along the curve. To emphasize capital goods would tend to make the economy more efficient, more productive, because you're now emphasizing the use of technology. You're emphasizing replacing old equipment with newer equipment. All right, so the production of capital goods does benefit the production eventually down the road of consumer goods. Hopefully, we're reducing the costs of them to us. But if you shift the other way, you benefit the consumers who would like to have their stuff to play with and their cheap toys and cheap clothes, and you sacrifice the capital goods. Now, there's one thing that you have to understand. Okay. Nope, I didn't want to do that. One thing that you don't want to do here, and that is you don't want to sorry, I accidentally clicked off the graph screen there. I got to reset that one. So let me go back to the shared screen here. Nope, that's not it. Oh, did it again, didn't I? Sorry, I got that screen. I finally figured it out. I think I did. All right, is that if you look at it, you cannot live out here. Okay, this is just, this is an impossible. These points out here in the middle of nowhere, you can't live out there. You don't have the tools. You don't have the talent. You have nothing that can get you there, right? You can't. You can wish that your country could produce all of this capital goods and all these consumer goods, but you can't. You don't have it. Saudi Arabia, for all their oil wealth, cannot produce normal consumer goods. They don't have land that can grow food. They don't have textile mills there. They don't have supplies of cotton or wool that they could make textiles. They got to rely on other people. That's why you trade. But you can be inside, but you just can't. You cannot be out here somewhere. You can't be any of these points. Doesn't exist. Now, if there are fundamental changes inside your country's economy, then that arc could go outward, and that's a good thing. But those fundamental changes could also depress that arc and crush it toward the origin. If you have civil war, revolution, natural disasters that wipe out, populations, disease, plague, starvation, famines, that could take that arc and crush it inward. But the use of technology, the application of education, third world countries can make the greatest leaps by just doing the simple things like making sure that your populace gets a high school education. I'm not talking about university. Let's just go from primary school, 6th grades, to a high school education and build that first, and then go from there to build technical universities and schools that can train the next generation. Then you can see that move outward. But the production possibilities curve tells you that any combination is possible, but the trade-off is. So if we take a look at the trade-off here, now let me see if I can change my ink here to different color. If you look at this level of production here, this level of capital goods, at this level of capital goods, you have this level of consumer goods. Okay. But if we shift from C to A, so if we shift from C to A, and we're here, then you can see that we're going to lose this amount of capital goods. But we're going to increase this amount of consumer goods. So we lost this, but we gained this. Trade-offs. The numbers are there. You have to move materials, manpower. the financing is going to go to the consumer good people, not to the capital good people. They're going to produce, they're going to get it, and you're going to lose the ability to do this level. Can't do both. Okay, one of the things is that you can be at A or at C, but you can't be at A and C. Can't have it both ways, because you have only a limited amount of resources. This is that scarcity argument again. Where are you going to put your talents, tools, resources? All right. A smart government would take a look at the landscape and say, you know what? Let's not bother going into capital goods. We don't have the educated, technologically driven society. Sorry, we can wish, but it's not there. It would be a waste of talent. It would be a waste of time. We might not be able to feed our people if we do that. Okay, got it. Okay, thanks. So the production possibilities curve is one of those kind of annoying little arguments that says, you know, you can do one, but you can do the other. You can't do both, you know. And I think you realize that now as you get older, you're going to find that all of your energy that you want to do all these wonderful things, it just doesn't happen. You don't have the ability to do that. You just can't. So the trade-offs, the opportunity costs. You know, you could go to spring break in college. You can go, you know, hopefully if everything from this COVID crisis ends, you could blow $5,000 on spring break and go to South Padre Island, Texas, or be down to Daytona Beach, Florida. Yeah, hey, have some fun, have some fun. But you know that car you wanted to drive? And your dad's saying, you're going to pay $3,000 towards your insurance. I'm like, geez, car insurance or spring break? So the you know, your production possibilities curve is limited to how much money you could make during your college time. And again, trade-off. You can work 40 hours a week. I did that when I was at Northwestern. I worked a lot of hours at the campus activities office. That was my job. But my grades kind of went, you know, oh well. All right, production possibilities curve. So this is the video. So put any questions on the FAQ page for chapter 1, and we'll answer them as we do.